In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
And we are back at it. How's everybody doing? Once again, welcome back to the show. Please hit that like button. I do appreciate you for taking the time out of your day, spending a little bit of it here with me and the crew here at Blunt Politics. What's going on? Crew at Blunt Politics. How you doing, chat? What's going on, guys? What's up, Tiff? How are you? Yakov? What's up, Roxanne? What's up, Sammy? What's up, Missy? How are you, Victor? What's up, Will? What's going on, guys? I appreciate you very, very much for joining me, as you always do. What's up, Ask? Appreciate everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack. Am I forgetting any? I'm not sure. I hit the like button, though, if I did forget any. But, boy, is this exhausting. Absolutely exhausting to try to have to cover this. I mean, yesterday was one of the crazier days, one of the more wild days that we've had to kind of suffer through. Luckily, I did seemingly get everything right. I think I called it. I think the people on the Patreon Zoom, if I do recall correctly, can attest to the fact that I kind of, and a lot of people did, it's not like I was the only one saying this, but did in fact think that Donald Trump was going to find some off-ramp. He was going to make it seem like the negotiations progressed, or he was going to say some like gift was given to him, and he was going to find a way to back out, which is exactly what we saw take place. So we're going to be diving into all of the craziness, all of the news, the updates, how this fake ceasefire is progressing or not progressing, all of the the details related to it. So first off, what do you say we bring in the chat? Let you guys get some airtime today. What's going on, peeps? How's everybody doing? I know everybody's tired. Yesterday was, I mean, the mental health crisis, right, that is just perpetrated onto people right now by this regime and by what's taking place is just, again, it's nothing to shake a stick at, as my grandmother used to say. I mean, it's just, it really is something where you don't know from one second to another if your government is literally going to bomb an entire country, an entire civilization back into the Stone Ages, right? If we're going to really attack all of the oil, the water treatment facilities, everything else, the bridges, the roads, the railways. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to have to sift through the news second by second to figure out what the hell is going on. Yesterday, we started off with the attacks on Kharg Island. So people, it was kind of hard to decipher really if that was part of the ongoing war, the ongoing air campaign that we've seen obviously take place, or if that was kind of, further actions or the beginnings of actions for Donald Trump's deadline, which was last night. But in fact, we did see, Donald Trump take the taco route, Taco Tuesday. It was very fitting, of course. But I do, in fact, believe that, I also called that I wouldn't put it past Donald Trump and this regime for, making this all up in the background and kind of making it seem like the Pakistani PM and Pakistan had a place to play in these negotiations to kind of take the pressure off of Donald Trump, to take the spotlight off of Donald Trump, having to back down from his kind of maniacal genocidal rhetoric that he put on Truth Social and all the plans that he's been telling everybody. But there's a lot to get into. Like I said, we'll get into a few clips. We got a bunch of articles to talk about, a lot of different details. Thank you to everybody over on this space as well. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to the mods. Much appreciated. Make sure you're hitting like on both places, wherever you're watching. We'll let a few more people filter in. Laurie says somewhere in Texas Paul's chat and Iran's closed the strait again. Anyone hear that? Well, again, The basis of that, I do believe, is heavily dependent on Israel and Lebanon. As far as the reporting that I saw, at first, and we'll go over this, Lebanon and the Israel's fight against Lebanon and Hezbollah in Lebanon was supposed to be part of the 10-point peace plan, the 10-point deal that, again, we'll go over in just a bit. But seemingly now Donald Trump and everybody else is coming out and saying that it's not a part of that. We're seeing these strikes continue. Iran has come out and said that is very much a big piece of this. Israel has to agree to stop lobbing missiles and attacking Lebanon. Otherwise, the strait is going to be closed. I don't know if there's been any kind of breaking news or updates, since I put the show together and came on as to what's going on there, but we'll see if we can sift through it. I have the New York Times kind of live feed going as far as live war updates, as far as that's concerned. So what do you say we dive into a few of the articles? I know we only got a little bit of time here on the early show today, but this is where we'll start off, just in case anybody didn't see this post. This was the post that Donald Trump put on Truth Social. This was, let's see, get the exact time, April 7th, 6:32 p.m. as stated here. And it says, based on conversations with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Asim Munir of Pakistan, and wherein they requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz, I agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire. The reason for doing so is that we already have met and exceeded all military objectives, and are very far along, and with a definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran, which we'll go over, and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. So this is Donald Trump pretty much giving his stamp, his seal of approval onto the 10-point peace plan that we'll go over. So we're going to compare where Iran stands now on the international stage, how much power they have now on the international stage, compared to just prior to when this war was enacted by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu and Jared Kushner, right? So again, the comparisons and whether or not we've, been able to achieve anything, whether or not we're coming out of this better off, whether or not we're making, Iran, kind of weaker or more prominent on the world stage with much more power and ability seemingly to make money. It is a question that is pretty easily answered, if I do say so myself. But this says almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but a 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. On behalf of the United States of America, as president and also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem closed to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Dickhead J. Trump there. And again, he's put up a few different posts since then, and it just, none of it really makes any sense. None of it really kind of adds up as far as him trying to declare victory. Fox News has probably, kind of taken a turn a little bit, I would say, as calling Donald Trump not so much as a liar, but telling us that, basically he didn't get what he wanted out of this. There's no way that you can consider this a victory, considering the peace plan that has been put forth. I mean, the $2 million per ship, where it was free just some weeks ago, is just not what I would consider a victory for the United States. But he also had a few other posts. This is another one. This is posted by OSINT Defender, where he says, a big day for world peace. Iran wants it to happen. They've had enough. Likewise, so has everyone else. The United States of America will be helping the traffic buildup in the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure what the hell that means. There will be lots of positive action. Big money will be made. Iran can start the reconstruction process. We'll be loading up with supplies of all kinds and just hanging around in order to just make sure everything goes well. I feel confident that it will, just like we are experiencing in the U.S. This could be the golden age of the Middle East. President Dickhead J. Trump, as said there. But again, this whole fake ceasefire, much like the fake ceasefire that he was announcing in Gaza with Israel, we've seen literally ongoing strikes ever since he announced it, or ever since this announcement came out. Clearly, the point of contention with Israel in Lebanon is something that's, going to be something that's going to have to be discussed, something that's going to have to be worked out. Otherwise, this is going to be a really fucking quick 2 weeks. If in fact that is not agreed upon. But this is, let me see here, because in the last 5 hours, this is from the Kuwaiti Armed Forces. In the last 5 hours, Kuwaiti Armed Forces have been dealing with Iranian attacks involving at least 28 one-way attack drones. So again, I think we need to get down to the definitional use of the word ceasefire as far as the Trump administration is concerned. Typically, the word cease means to stop, right? You're going to cease. You're going to not do it anymore. It's not going to happen. It's not a thing. It's stopped, right? Firing would be like the missiles, the drones, the weapons, like anything like that. So when you put those two words together, you got to cease fire. That means you'd be stopping shooting. That would be stopping firing, stopping lobbing missiles. All of that stuff is wrapped up into that when you talk about a ceasefire. None of that seems to be happening. None of that, seemingly the opposite, is happening as far as that's concerned. Because here's one from the Ministry of Defense of the UAE has issued an alert stating that an air defense systems are responding to a missile threat. And it just continues to go on from there. Airstrikes have reportedly targeted the Lavon oil refinery in Iran today. The ceasefire is seemingly in effect in name only, as stated here by OSINT Defender. So again, missiles kind of crossing each other in midair doesn't really bode well for a ceasefire, another fake ceasefire agreement potentially here by Donald Trump. It's amazing to me that, we continue to allow these people to use these words and, kind of claim victory in these fucking fights. Meanwhile, the video coming from on the ground, the footage that we're seeing from on the ground and in the area shows us a complete and total different reality than what they're coming out and telling us on camera. Right. This says Iranian state news outlets are blaming the United States and Israel for recent strikes on the oil refinery. No word from the Israel Defense Force or CENTCOM at the time of writing. According to the UAE Ministry of Defense on April 8th, the UAE Air Defenses engaged 17 ballistic missiles, 35 Iranian drones, 3 people sustained minor injuries. The total tally now up to about 2,256. And again, this is just kind of detailing the recent actions. Here's another one where Trump's talking about working closely with the Iranians, which we have determined has gone through, which will be a very productive regime change. Again, no regime change, in fact, has taken place to the effect or to the extent that anybody would, actually, prop up as a victory, as a complete and total change, considering it's the guy's son, right? A more hardlined, a younger, more capable, right? Somebody that's going to be in power a longer period of time, considering the age discrepancy between him and his father, somebody that's more closely related to the IRGC, somebody that's more, militarily minded, somebody that's more fanatical it's just the whole fucking thing is ridiculous. Typically, when you're talking about a regime change, you'd like to see some sort of, democratic process installed, something like that. But, of course, we're not going to see that in this regard. But we continue to see sporadic attacks against Gulf nations, and Israel by Iran will likely continue for the next day or so as automatic drone and missile launchers run through their supplies or are deactivated. One of the more ridiculous things that I've heard, basically an excuse like if you do see any attacks, it's basically they've been put on kind of like an automatic timer, right? Sorry, we can't do anything about that. They just kind of have to expend whatever missiles and drones they have out there now. And then at the end of that, we'll consider it a ceasefire. It's ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But, the extent of which the Pakistanis were actually responsible for this in the first place is in question, right? Like yesterday, I was talking about how, Donald Trump was inevitably going to find some way. He was going to lie. He was going to come out and say that some, historic moment came out in the negotiations and it opened his eyes to the possibility. And it's now going to give him the ability to push it off 48 hours or 5 days or 10 days or whatever he said. In this case, he came out with 2 weeks. But again, he didn't want to have to say it himself. They couldn't find an excuse to use that the United States can make it like, they could come out looking like the alpha strongman that they want to look like. So what I believe they did was they just kind of negotiated and passed this information along to the Pakistanis and kind of made the prime minister put this out there, basically saying, hey, we'll give you something in the background if you kind of put this out. That way we can use your tweet, we can use your statements as the reason for this ceasefire, right? So the fact that the president of the United States isn't listening to the sentiment of the people in this country, right? The people in this country that are overwhelmingly against this war, overwhelmingly against the actions that we are now undertaking in conjunction with Israel against Iran, where the president of the United States isn't taking that into account, isn't listening to the polling, isn't listening to the American people. But we're supposed to believe that he's going to listen to the Pakistani PM. All of a sudden, the Pakistani prime minister came out, wants to see a ceasefire, and Donald Trump's going to jump. Pakistani prime minister says, jump. Donald Trump says, how high? That's what we're supposed to believe in this regard. So again, I don't put it past this regime for having this little fucking plan going on behind the scenes. Let me write this up for you. And there's even some evidence to suggest that already coming out. So let me throw this on the screen because this is from Shehbaz Sharif, again, the Pakistani PM. And this is what he announced last night, where he said, with the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, have agreed to an immediate ceasefire everywhere, including Lebanon and elsewhere, effective immediately. Remember that, including Lebanon, when we go on to the further stories we'll be covering here. I warmly welcome the sagacious gesture and extend deepest gratitude to the leadership of both the countries and invite their delegations to Islamabad on Friday, 10th April 2026, to further negotiate for conclusive agreement to settle all disputes. Both parties have displayed remarkable wisdom and understanding, have remained constructively engaged in furthering the cause of peace and stability, and earnestly hope the Islamabad talks succeed in achieving sustainable peace and wish to share more good news in the upcoming days. He's actually put out a few more statements since then. But if you take a look at this, because I found this kind of interesting as well, because this was put out by the Tennessee Holler per Ryan Grimm's reporting, where they say, you can see in Ryan Grimm's tweet here, where he says, oh, this is unbelievable. The edit history on this tweet shows that the Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif originally copied and pasted everything he was sent, including the statement that we just read there. So you can see here just on top, and I'll see if I can zoom in here. Let me see if I can zoom in. You guys can see it a little better. I'll even pop out of the way so you guys can have the full screen. So if you look on the left side of the screen there, you can see circled in red where it says draft, Pakistan's PM message on X, right? So let me get this straight. If that was coming from inside of the Pakistani government, right, do you think that they would be labeling? Do you think that they would be calling their own prime minister Pakistan's PM? Right? Or wouldn't he just be the PM, right? It's like, you're not really using that, you're not using the first word Pakistani if you're in Pakistan, right? It's just like, it doesn't make sense in that regard. So it seems like it came from an outside source. And he even did a little reporting on it. Let me see if I can just play this quick clip, because he kind of describes what he saw as far as this is concerned. And again, I'm technologically disadvantaged when it comes to this. So as far as what he's looking at in the draft history, as far as he says the edit history on his tweet, the edit history on this tweet shows that the Pakistani prime minister originally copied and pasted everything he was sent, and then took off that original part, the top part, and then sent the tweet back out. So let me see if I can play this quick clip, because again, this would suggest that the possibility that the Trump administration, the Trump regime, somehow was in efforts and workings to try to figure out an off-ramp, figure out a way where they didn't have to go through with, again, the annihilation of the civilization in Iran, as Donald Trump put it, right? So this was just kind of their way to get it, the taco effect. Even John Bolton, I think he was on with either Fox or CNN, John Bolton, and he even talked about how Donald Trump was worried about this whole taco aspect, even used the word taco. It's just you could tell that he's worried about looking like a weakling. He's worried about looking inferior. He's worried about, sending out these threats but not following through. And that's exactly what we saw happen, right? But this is kind of, I believe, a way in which the Trump regime could have tried to, get the spotlight off of Donald Trump, try to get the pressure off of Donald Trump and say, hey, let's look to somebody in the region. We'll kind of feed you this line. We'll feed you this bullshit. You post it on X, and then we'll react to it, in real time. We'll react to it like, oh, okay, now we have the excuse. Now we have the justification to not go ahead with, again, the deadly and genocidal attacks that we threatened, on Truth Social. So again, there's just a couple minutes. I think it's a quick clip here from Ryan Grimm, where he's trying to explain exactly what he saw as far as the edit history and where this information came from and what this might mean. So let me see if I can throw this on your screen. We'll play just a minute of this. Thanks, guys. Hit that like button, by the way.
And a sign of how badly the U.S. is the one that wanted this agreement. This is something fun you can do at home. So Shehbaz Sharif is the Pakistani prime minister. His Twitter account is CM Shehbaz, SCHEHBAZ. So go back and find his, from yesterday afternoon, he posted basically a proposal for a 2-week ceasefire. So the thing that became the thing that Trump accepted. Then Trump said, And the New York Times even reports Trump responded to a Pakistani proposal of a 2-week ceasefire. Is it a Pakistani proposal? If you look into the edit history of the tweet,
yes, you noticed this.
yes, it says draft post for Pakistan's PM.
Mm.
So Shehbaz Sharif copied the entire thing he was handed and just pasted it on a Twitter and then hit post. And then somebody was like, "Hey boss, you left in the message at the top." Now think about this. Would Shehbaz Sharif's own staff refer to him as Pakistan's prime minister? Like, do Trump's staff refer to him as the American president, or they just call him Mr. President?
Mm-hmm.
Like in Pakistan, he's the
And again,
prime.
it adds up. It makes sense because you wouldn't really, that's not kind of the typical way that they would refer to their own prime minister. And again, it makes sense the fact that Donald Trump would want to take the spotlight and the highlight off of him, again, cowering like the coward that he is. Again, as good as it is to see that we didn't inevitably go through with the actions that he was threatening. Of course, nobody wanted to see that. But again, this was pretty much right in line with all of Donald Trump's other taco events that he's been involved in. Again, I was kind of spot on in the thinking that he was going to try to pull any of the stops out he possibly can to say that there was some huge event in negotiations. Or again, I also thought that he was going to come out and say that there was like another 400 fucking ships going through the Strait of Hormuz full of oil, headed right to the doorstep of Mar-a-Lago. So that gave him another reason to try to push this off a little bit. Whatever it was, you knew something was coming, or at least, I kind of suspected it. But all day yesterday, everybody was going through it, trying to figure out, is this the beginning of it? Is what's going to happen tonight? We saw the human chains formed around the power, the energy facilities and the bridges. Obviously the thoughts going through people's heads of, what the hell was going to take place, what the footage would look like if in fact the United States would, kind of go through with the plans that Donald Trump was talking about, and looking at what was taking place on the ground. Obviously it was going to be absolutely horrific regardless, no matter what. But people obviously yesterday were really kind of put through the ringer, trying to figure out what the hell was going to come next, what was going to take place. Obviously now the market volatility that we've seen, the oil prices are down about 16, if not more percent, because of this announcement. You can see how the markets react so quickly. They go up when this thing looks like it's getting bad, when more strikes are taking place, when oil facilities are getting hit, when the talks aren't going well. And then all of a sudden Donald Trump and the Pakistani PM come out with the 2-week ceasefire. Next thing you know, the markets are up, oil prices are down. You can see how the volatility and the chaos and the instability of the market continues to take place. And again, the market volatility, even as we're seeing these like dramatic ups and downs right now, that's not what this market was built on. Like that's not a stable market. That is not a market that people are kind of willing to invest in to the point in which like the stable market would draw in investment. It's not built for something like this. The instability, and again, the huge rises, the huge drops, not knowing what's coming next based on, announcements, based on press conferences, the market's going up, the market's going down. So again, even though we've seen the dramatic spike, let me see the dramatic decline, I should say, in the prices. I'll throw this on the screen real quick before we go on with that one. So here we are. So we're down about 16% here. WTI down to about 95.02. Brent at 94.99. So obviously a dramatic drop, a dramatic difference from where we were. What was it? 116, 117, not that long ago. So you can see how the market reacts based off of the actions or inactions of what's taking place with this war. So again, just another aspect of this in which, is being, hugely affected by the announcements or by the propaganda or by the lies coming from either the United States or Israel or, the people involved in this entire conflict. So let me see if there's just a little bit more here, because this is, again, reporting to suggest that Donald Trump is in fact involved with trying to sway the Pakistani PM to try to put this announcement out there so that Donald Trump could in fact react, having an excuse, having some sort of justification to put this 2-week deadline out there, to make it seem like he wasn't a coward, to make it seem like he didn't taco out of his, again, genocidal, maniacal, murderous rhetoric that in plan that he was going to go through with.
Prime Minister. He's not Pakistan's PM. Who is he Pakistan's PM to? Us.
Right.
So we sent him. So Trump sent him, like, post this on Twitter. I want you to post that you're asking for 2 weeks. And then Trump responds, I'm taking it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have to trust me. Just go to his Twitter feed. You can just search and edit history. It's a very funny feature. It's sitting right there.
Well, I want to get your take on the Iranian.
And again, so I'm not the technology expert, obviously, as you guys know. So utilizing the function, utilizing the edit function that he was just talking about, that is pretty clear evidence to suggest that some funny business was taking place behind the scenes as far as why. And again, even Greg Kelly. Let me see. Do I have that clip pulled up? I know there's a ton of clips that I have pulled up to try to squeeze into today's show. I don't know if I have that one still up there, but there's a Greg Kelly clip up as well, where he's trying to react to this kind of, ceasefire. And he's like, he has absolutely no idea what to say to his audience as to why the Pakistanis were involved in this, like where their involvement came from. All of a sudden, they just kind of popped into the picture as being like the intermediary in this negotiation process. So even Greg Kelly has no idea why this took place. It looks very fucking fishy. So again, just some reporting as to that regard as to why that might be kind of the reason why we're now seeing them take place in this, in this whole fight. But let me see. We'll throw this on. This is kind of the running updates here, the running war updates by the New York Times, just kind of going through the timeline as to what was taking place. This was yesterday, 8:02 p.m. when the Pakistani Prime Minister said in the social media post that we just read, along with their allies, he said they were talking about ceasefires. But I wanted to reiterate that it talks about including Lebanon and elsewhere, right? So as you guys were talking about in the chat, let me see. Are you a Red Sox fan? I am a Cardinals fan. Sorry, I don't know why that just caught my eye, but it did. Yes, I'm a Red Sox fan. But anyway, but this is obviously something that needs to be talked about because it seems to be a clear point of contention going forward. Seems to be, kind of another way in which Israel could kind of manipulate what happens with not only the United States, but also with the Middle East in general, as far as whether or not they're willing to stop their attacks with Lebanon, to agree to, the Iranian suggestions or the Iranians' demands, as to why or when or how they're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Right. So again, if they're the reason, if Israel doesn't want to stop their attacks on Lebanon, thus creating the reason for Iran to again close the Strait of Hormuz, or again not allow the ships through the Strait of Hormuz, then obviously that's going to have a huge economic impact. Obviously, that's going to have a huge impact on the war in general going forward. And again, that's going to be because of the inability of the Israelis, the inability of the United States as well to recognize that the Israelis have complete and total different goals, and none of them really match up at all to the benefit or the well-being of the United States or the people of the United States. So again, I just want to reiterate that when this was first reported, it was including Lebanon as far as that's concerned, as far as, even though that Donald Trump has come out a few times now in saying that Lebanon was not part of the original agreement. We can see here that it in fact was. This was 8:05. The Kuwaiti army says its defenses were detecting missile and drone attacks. It said explosions can be heard and resulting in air defense systems intercepting the attacks. Here's some Israeli drones were whirring louder than usual in the early hours of Wednesday morning in the skies above the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Here's some pictures from that. Again, just kind of showing the ongoing action since the time of announcement of this fake ceasefire that's going on. Here's the look at the oil prices. You can see the sharp decline since the announcement there, talking about the instability of the market. Countries around the Persian Gulf, including Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, reported missile and drone attacks shortly after Iran and the United States announced the ceasefire deal. The UAE Defense Ministry and the Israeli military said they were countering attacks from Iran at the same time. Let's see here. I think there was a few more that was going on too. There was one more from, was it Jennifer Griffin? Let me see if I can pull this up as well. I'll throw this on the screen because there was a couple here from Jennifer Griffin, who I believe works for Fox News, who had some reporting here. Here's one I think you guys were talking about earlier, where she says Iran state media Fars posted to Telegram while two tankers transited this morning. They will block the strait as long as Israel attacks Lebanon. I believe that's what was being referenced in the chat at the beginning of the show here. So this is talking about the Wall Street Journal reporting Reuters, the Wall Street Journal, and other reliable news outlets are reporting that the Strait of Hormuz remains closed except with passage authorization from Iran, which may impose a toll. And we'll go over kind of the peace plan, the 10-point plan that they were talking about as far as that's concerned as well. But this was some of the reporting coming from. Let's see if there's anything else that she put out here. Important thread to know about what we know about Iran's remaining military capacity. Maybe that'd be something to dive into. And so it begins the path. This is from Pakistani's prime minister about ceasefire violations. What's he saying? Violations of ceasefire have been reported at a few places across the conflict zone, which undermine the spirit of the peace process. I earnestly and sincerely urge all parties to exercise restraint and respect the ceasefire for 2 weeks as agreed upon, so that diplomacy can take a lead role peacefully towards peaceful settlement of the conflict. At Trump, Vance, Rubio, Witkoff, bunch of other people there. So again, as to fly in the face of the reporting coming from the Trump administration, seemingly the ongoing attacks continue. A very large crude carrier typically carries 2 million barrels of oil, and this says that Iran is demanding $1 per barrel of oil passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and it wants to be paid in cryptocurrency. And again, take this reporting all with a grain of salt, considering the rapidness in which the information changes. The information, each side has a reason in which to kind of propagandize the other side. Each side has a reason to try to kind of stretch the truth a little bit. So again, take all of this with a grain of salt, because there's also been reporting by Iran side that they're not actually coming out with their exact plans for good reason. So anybody that's kind of speculating or suggesting anything very specific, again, take it with a grain of salt. See if you can kind of corroborate that in different sources, in different outlets as far as that's concerned. This is 2 minutes ago. She put out a message from Iran's foreign minister. The Iran-U.S. ceasefire terms are clear and explicit. The U.S. must choose ceasefire or continued war via Israel. It cannot have both. The world sees the massacres in Lebanon. The ball is in the U.S. court, and the world is watching whether it will act on its commitments. So again, you cannot align yourself with a country like Israel. You cannot say that we are, joined at the hip. We are in this together, and then expect to have kind of like this half-ass ceasefire where Donald Trump gets to say the United States may take part in it, but Israel doesn't have to. Israel can continue their bombing inside of Lebanon. They can continue to displace millions and millions and millions of people and kill innocent civilians. So that's not what's going to be allowed to happen. So, seemingly coming from the foreign minister here from Iran, saying, "Hey, the ball's in your court." Right? You can either say you're going to control Israel. You can either say, hey, we're agreed to a ceasefire, so you guys have to as well. Or again, you're just going to continue in this war alongside of Israel. You can't have it both ways. This is not something where they can kind of, go on with their bombing, go on with their war campaign at the same time as you guys are going to sit it out for a couple weeks, and you think everything's just going to be okay. That's just not how it's going to work. He says, with the greatest humility, I am pleased to announce that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States of America, along with their allies, that was the original reporting. So he must have put this statement out on top of with that post at the same time. So anything else here to report? Let's see if she put out anything else. So that looks like it as far as her reporting is concerned. But there was more here from this. Here's the actual plan that people have been putting up and talking about as well. The Iran's 10-point peace plan, where it says 1, guarantee that Iran will not be attacked again. 2, permanent end to the war, not just a ceasefire. 3, end to Israeli strikes in Lebanon. Again, clear indication that was part of and will be continuously part of the deal. And a big sticking point as far as that's concerned. 4, lifting all U.S. sanctions on Iran. So again, the question is, before this war started, was Iran more or less powerful? Okay, right? And again, think about this: how fucking wild and crazy this is to think that the Navy has been taken out, the Air Force has been taken out, the amount of strikes on their military facilities, throughout Iran that we know about. And still, to this day, they seemingly have more power on the international stage, right? They have more control over the Strait of Hormuz. They have more control over the world economy. They quite literally have the world economy by the fucking nutsack, by the balls right now, with the Strait of Hormuz, and then potentially with the Bab el-Mandeb Strait as well, if they want to again instruct or order their proxies in Yemen to take control over that as well. I mean, that would be just an added fucking kick in the nuts to the world, an added kick in the nuts to the world economy, and more pressure put on you by Iran. So I'm asking, do they have more or less power now? Seemingly, now, if we're going to have to agree to this, which Donald Trump, as we talked about in his statement, said that this was the basis, a good basis for an agreement, Now we're talking about not only $2 million per ship, but also ending all of the sanctions with Iran, right? Ending the war, ending Israeli strikes in Lebanon, end to all regional fighting against Iranian allies. Iran would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, but Iran would also impose a $2 million per ship transiting fee through the Strait of Hormuz. $2 million. And then there was the reporting that we just said where it was also $1 per barrel that was going through. And again, you guys do the math on how many barrels of oil each ship can carry, and you can see just how much money this is set to make. Not only Iran, but I also believe they said that they would, excuse me, split that with Oman. Yeah, number 8 says right below it, Iran would split the fees with Oman. Number 9, Iran would establish rules for safe passage through Hormuz. 10, Iran would use Hormuz fees for reconstruction instead of reparations. So again, this seems to be that they've been given more power. Seems to be now that people have to respect their control over the strait, respect their control over the world economy more than they did just, prior to, 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago when this war started. So it's amazing now. If you go back and you see what was gas at before it started. So we were paying $2.50, give or take, in gas 7 weeks ago, right? It didn't cost pretty much anything, nowhere near $2 million a ship to go through the Strait of Hormuz just 7 weeks ago. I mean, all of the changes that we've seen, the change in the cost of goods, the change in gas prices. I mean, what is the benefit here? What is the victory? What is Donald Trump going to prop up here as being the victory? We haven't seen regime change. We got the same fucking family in there, even more capable, even more fanatical, even more fucking religious, even more closely affiliated with the military. I mean, that's clearly not something that we've established, right? We haven't regained control over the Strait of Hormuz. That's something that Iran has firm control over, seemingly, and that firm control will continue, considering they now get the ability to tell us that they're going to be charging $2 million a ship, and what that means, again, for the European and Asian markets, right? Donald Trump can continuously say that, we don't rely on the strait that much, but that doesn't take into account how connected the world is as far as trade, as far as economy, right? Economic trade partners, allies all over the place, right? People doing business with countries, all around the world. So again, he does not take into account that you don't necessarily have to get your goods don't necessarily, or your oil doesn't necessarily have to go through the strait in order to be affected by this. Something that should be fucking clear, for anybody to see right now, considering how much we've all been affected by this, the price of goods and gas, as we've talked about, even though, again, we don't necessarily rely on the Strait of Hormuz for direct oil shipments coming to the United States. So it doesn't really make sense that he's not taking that into account, but it fits in line with the incompetency, the ignorance, the stupidity, the morons that are leading this, and how little they've done to prepare not only the United States but also our allies in the region for this for this war, and obviously the retaliations that were going to come from this. So the secondary impacts continue to be felt. But this is, again, the peace plan that was put forth that Donald Trump said, roughly speaking, it was a good basis for the negotiations to continue. So seemingly going to prop up Iran on the world stage, give them more power. Now that we're having to seemingly negotiate with Iran to open up the world economy to make sure that we can, continue to function. The Asian markets can continue to function. Our European allies can continue to function. Just goes to show how much sway and how much power Iran currently has right now. Again, taking out their Navy, taking out their Air Force. Don't need it, apparently. But yeah, that's the peace plan there. Let me see here. I just want to see if there's any other updates on this New York Times since we've been speaking, because everything changes so goddamn fast here. Let's see here. This was 11:30 p.m. last night. We talked about that. This was the which one's this? Says the deal came shortly. Oh, that's just kind of a generalization on the ceasefire talk. This was kind of the last one. I'll do a refresh. Let me see if there's anything else posted here. So no, and obviously we've seen the sights here, the scenes of people getting out into the streets in Iran to kind of celebrate the government. This says pro-government demonstrators chant slogans after the announcement of a 2-week ceasefire on Wednesday. So you can see like the timeline that we live in and how ridiculous it is. Like both sides seemingly coming out claiming victory in this. Neither side kind of willing to take an L. Neither side willing to kind of recognize reality as far as, again, the problems that Iran is absolutely still facing. And then again, on our side, the fact that this regime, the Trump regime, just has the complete inability to recognize the facts of the matter, the facts on the ground, and what this is doing to not only the Middle East, but also, obviously, like we've been talking about, the secondary impacts to both you and I, and also people all over the world. But, it continues. It goes on, the craziness. We'll see what's been taking place since we've just been online as far as, strikes and retaliations, where the ceasefire, the so-called ceasefire, actually kind of, lies. I kind of have trouble actually calling it a ceasefire. I don't think, much like we were talking about in Gaza, that was just a ridiculous way in which to use the word ceasefire, considering the amount of death and destruction we saw after the announcement of that, right? So to even suggest that this is anywhere near a ceasefire after, again, only in the short time that we've been on, showing you the amount of strikes, the amount of missiles and drone actions, going from, Iran to Israel and both Israel to Iran, just goes to show you that this is not anywhere near what a ceasefire actually is. And again, just goes to show you the joke that our government is and how much they're desperate, how desperate they are to try to get some propaganda victory, to get some sort of media victory in this, to get out of this any way, shape, or form they could have. And again, this is the way that they chose. But, it kind of remains to be seen as to where it goes, where it lies. Here's kind of some more footage just kind of showing. This is from Mercado Media. Again, just going to further examples to show you. This says Israel has carried out a wave of airstrikes across Lebanon, hitting more than 100 targets in 10 minutes. Seems the ceasefire doesn't include Israel. Let's see if we can just play this clip real quick. So you can see clear indications, clear, destruction there seen from an apparent Israeli airstrike carried out in Lebanon, just kind of further depicting the ongoing actions that don't actually, kind of line up to what Donald Trump is saying and the ceasefire that everybody says is supposedly in place as well. But before we get on to a couple of the clips from some of the more sane people, we got one here from Jen from the I've Had It podcast, where she's talking about Trump being a massive loser and folding on Iran threats, being the worst negotiator in history. We got one here from Preston Stewart, obviously talking about what he thinks about the ceasefire. And then we got one here from, what was the other one? I think I had one from Greg Kelly. I don't know where it went, but I'll see if I can find it before I get in there. And then before we do go on, tonight's broadcast, we're going to be talking about this video tonight. Kalen Robertson has this video that he put out, fantastic video depicting the front lines, the drone teams that are going around Kherson right now, trying to shoot down the drones before they can get, further and deeper into Ukrainian territory. This was fantastically well done. It's about 33 minutes. Obviously, we don't have the time to cover it on the early show, but we are going to dive into this tonight. So anybody that, kind of wants to come and check that out, 8:30 tonight, right here, Blunt Politics on, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, the whole 9 yards. So we'll be talking about that. Shout out to Kalen for the work that he's doing, putting himself in harm's way to kind of bring us the reporting. So, all right, before we dive into that, all right, we're in like a weird time, ladies and gentlemen. We really are in like a simulation. We now live in a goddamn simu-fucking-lation. And I don't know like what else like to say about that. Like we're just in one of the weirdest timelines humanly possible. But the propaganda wars continue, not only on these news outlets, but also on social media. We've seen these Lego videos kind of go viral. We've seen these Lego videos go worldwide. They are seemingly winning the propaganda war on the social media front by a long shot. I will say Iran is over the United States White House team that, again, has put out these kind of ridiculous, what was it, Call of Duty? They had one. The other one was about like bowling pins or something like that. So, again, nowhere even in the same fucking league. And as dirty as I feel, as fucking icky as I feel liking these videos and kind of, jamming along to it, this is just kind of the simulation, the fucked up timeline that we live in, right? These two nations are going at it both on the propaganda front and also militarily. And this is just kind of the result of it. And again, I'm just kind of here to say, hey, this is what's happening. And, I think this side's winning. And as far as the propaganda war is considered, I don't think anybody would even kind of, bat an eye when I say that Iran is kicking the shit out of the United States propaganda-wise. So, again, here's one that just came out, and they're so quick with these friggin' things. Here's already one about Trump tackling on his decision to, again, eradicate the Iranian civilization. So let's see if we can dive into this one right here. And, again, this is Trump surrendered, Iran won, Taco will always remain Taco. Taco means Trump always chickened out. See if we can dive into this real quick. Because Jesus Christ, these are, and it's just, oh no, that's the video one. Here's the real one. Here's this one right here. Let me see. I'm gonna start it from the beginning though, because then they put out it was almost like a feature-length film version. It's getting wild. It's getting wild in the West here. It really is. But here it is. No, this isn't the one either. Let me see here. Hold on. Nope, that's not the one either. Let me see if I can, somehow I pulled up the wrong one. No, there it is. Here it is right here. My apologies. I got it. I play it at the beginning. Pause. Play it at the beginning. Make it a little bigger. All right, yeah. Here's Taco Tuesday Backpedal, the latest Lego release, or what I believe is the latest Lego release. They put these goddamn things out so fast and so fucking furious that who knows? There's probably about 10 others since this one was put out. But there it is. It's only about a minute long, so let's see what they came out with. Let's see what they concocted on this one. Another Lego banger? I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah. Every time he talks tough, it's Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Taco Tuesday. Big threats on Monday, then he chickens out Tuesday. Power plant day, bridge day, all that tough talk. Now he's folding again. What a joke. He screams regime change, drops bombs like it's bold. Then runs to the mic and says maybe we fold. One day he's winning, next day he's scared. Every Tuesday he's backpedaling hard. You threatened the straight so we'd live in hell. Now you're begging for ceasefire, we can tell. 17 bases hit your military in shame. But you still out here tweeting like it's a game. Taco Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Big threats on Monday, then he chickens out Tuesday. Power plant day, bridge day, all that tough talk. Now he's folding again, what a joke. Sacred defense, we still standing strong. Taco Tuesday again, yeah.
Jesus Christ, just hammering away at these videos the Iranians are. And again, the speed in which they're able to put these out is again, I think why, and another reason as to why they continue to be kind of going viral, or people continue to see them. It's just that they're so quick on it, and it's so like related to the current news and what everybody's talking about that they just inevitably catch people's eye. Obviously, the catchiness of the tune, but it's just it's a wild timeline. It's a simulation that we're living in. I do believe one of these days we are going to wake up and the simulation will be over, hopefully. But again, until that day happens, we have to sift through this bullshit. But again, I think I found is this a new podcast intro? What do you think? Should I use that as the new podcast intro? Taco Tuesday for Trump? Jesus Christ. I mean, it gets crazier by the day. It really does just get crazier by the day. All right, let's see if we can jump into a couple of these clips, because I'm curious as to what everybody else's reaction is, what everybody else kind of suspects took place, what they think is going to happen next. First here, I just kind of wanted to dive into a minute or two of this video where Jen from the I've Had It podcast talks about how Trump is a massive loser and kind of the news coming from his, so-called ceasefire that is in place. Let me see if we can just dive into this. And then after that, we got Preston Stewart. And then I think that'll be about as much time as I'll have with you guys on the early show. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Appreciate you guys in the chat. What's up, Sandy? What's up, Luck Dragon? What's up, Ian? How are you? What's going on, Diane? What's up, Benny Loco? What's up, Deborah? What's going on, guys? How are you, Peppa? What's up, Laurie? What's up, Jeannie? Appreciate you guys in there. What's up, Graphene? Hit that like button. Everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Substack, the whole 9 yards. All right, let's dive into it. Let's see what everybody thinks about the old, Taco Tuesday Trump again.
The art of the deal is in full swing, and the president of the United States is completely capitulated to Iran. And I'm so grateful that he did, because we all woke up yesterday morning to him wanting to annihilate a civilization in Iran. This is utterly insane. It's utterly insane, the whiplash of this man, that he is this close to the football, the nuclear weapons. Here's his post last night. And he goes on and on here to say that he has agreed to all of these things. And that's true. Iran sent him a 10-point plan that he agreed to. And Trump talks a big game, that he's this master negotiator. But let's look at what he agreed to versus what Obama's nuclear deal was, that he tore up simply because he doesn't like Barack Obama. Pop this up. So the Iran deal by Obama, Strait of Hormuz open for free. Iran limits uranium enrichment. Iran agrees to make no nuclear weapons. Iran allows international inspectors to ensure compliance, and inspectors confirm Iran's full compliance. Here is Iran's ceasefire by Trump. And I want to note that this ceasefire
Not only that,
coming when we have American
because
deaths.
not only that, because I do remember that. What was the price? You know how they love to say that Obama sent plane loads of cash to Iran. What was the actual price? I think it was like 1.7. I'm forgetting the number now. I forget the exact price, but basically nowhere near the amount that we've spent so far on the war with Iran. So again, and by every single metric that you look at, whether it's the Obama deal, whether it's where we were just 7 weeks ago in terms of pricing, in terms of the price of goods, in terms of the stability of the world economy, in terms of the stability of the market, in terms of the stabilization of the Middle East, each and in every single kind of metric that you look at, we are worse off right now than we were just prior to this undertaking, and much worse off than, again, the Obama deal would have gotten us, or did get us in the fucking first place. So again, none of these kind of metrics allow Donald Trump to come out with the victory, which is why I think he's having so much of a problem here, which is why, again, they're trying to continue this war in hopes that a victory will face itself. And again, whether that's oil, whether that's, trying to, again, consider the Strait of Hormuz opening a victory, even though that's, again, a secondary aspect, a secondary fucking retaliation for the war. Something that we weren't dealing with before. Again, all of these things that we didn't have to deal with before that we're now dealing with now. And now somehow they're going to try to pull a victory, as we continue to say, to pull victory out of the jaws of defeat, right? I mean, they're searching so hard right now for a way, for an off-ramp, for something that they could use as a victory, that they're even willing now to go with the $2 million per ship. As long as they can say the Strait of Hormuz is open, they're going to consider that a victory. Or again, whether or not it's Donald Trump wanting to actually put boots on the ground in Carg Island to seize the oil so that he could claim that as a victory. Who knows? You know what I mean? Nobody really knows as to what's going to come next. But you can clearly see here that the by every single metric, we are worse off right now than we were just prior to Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu's illegal, unconstitutional war against Iran started.
Iranian deaths, billions and billions and billions of dollars. So here's what he has agreed to. Strait of Hormuz closed, only open for $2 million per ship. And guess who gets that $2 million? You think the art of the deal guy gets it? No, that guy bankrupts casinos. Iran is getting that. Iran makes no guarantee of limit on uranium enrichment. Iran makes no guarantee of no nuclear weapons. Iran makes no guarantee to allow international inspectors. And MAGA's like, ooh, Trump's playing 5D.
Again, all of this is, again, taken with a grain of salt, because there's also reporting, and Donald Trump's comments have come out where he said that Iran has now allowed them and is going to work with them to go dig up the uranium. He's also talked about the fact that he's going to be, jointly in control and possibly charging tolls and the whole thing is fucking crazy. It changes by the second. Whatever is reported 1 minute is not what's reported the next minute. What's said by the Trump regime 1 minute is not what's said by the Trump regime the next minute, or by another administration official, even in the same fucking sentence. So again, take this all with a grain of salt as far as what you think is going to come from this and what is actually taking place. But again, this is just the reporting out there. This is what we have to go off of. This is what we have to go by, unfortunately. But again, we have we're running out of time. Let me see if I can throw this on here because I'm curious what somebody with like a little bit of military background thinks about Trump utilizing Pakistan's prime minister to try to make it seem like that was the justification for the ceasefire and where we kind of go from here. So let's see if we can get into a minute or two of this Preston Stewart, and then I got to get thanking everybody for their contributions, whether it's via Venmo up in the corner, guys. Again, all I ask for is $1 or $2. Anything over and above and beyond that is totally up to you guys. I know everybody right now is in a financial crunch, a financial pinch. We are in a very unstable and uncertain time right now, especially as it pertains to your wallet. So I am right there with you. I totally and completely understand if you don't have the ability to do so. Not a problem. Do the free stuff. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe, you can throw a couple emojis in the chat. Once the video is posted afterwards, you can leave a comment on there, and that again will do wonders for telling the algorithm that you care about the channel and that other people should be engaged in watching this. So again, Venmo up in the corner. It's the easiest and quickest way to support the show. You can check out the memberships just underneath me. For less than a gallon of gas, you could be a member for a month on this channel. You could help support this channel. And then, of course, with the new Patreon rollout, we got 3 great levels at patreon.com/BostonBrian. Check those out. If one of them kind of fits your financial capabilities, please think about signing up. We're doing and rolling out some great new perks there, some great new merch, some really good things happening on the channel. And I really do appreciate you guys for supporting us. So let's see if we can just get into a minute or two of, again, somebody with some military insight, some military background, talking about Trump's decision to again push this off for another 2 weeks. So let's just see if we can see what he has to say.
All right, what's going on, everyone? So we've got a ceasefire in the Middle East, I think. It's between the United States and Iran, maybe Israel. Also, the ceasefire may have already been violated, and it also might not go into effect until the fighting stops.
You see how crazy the reporting has to be on this? Like, you see how wild this is for even somebody that tries to do like straight shooting. He's not too, overtly left. He's not too overtly this side or that side. Like, tries to do pretty much, dry, generic, not too bombastic, not over the top type of reporting. Like, even he's like, I don't know, like it's a ceasefire, but it's not. Could be with Israel. It's not with Israel. They're still bombing, but it's a ceasefire. Like, nobody knows what the fuck's going on. You know what I mean? It's impossible to do so. And even the longest serving military experts that are on television trying to give their insights and speculations on this, like, nobody fucking knows. Like, the only thing that I was like clear on was the fact that Donald Trump was going to try to take some sort of off ramp. He was going to lie about negotiations. He was going to lie about some sort of gift in order to not enact his, again, genocidal, murderous plot and plan that he had talked about on Truth Social. Like, that was pretty clear to me. And it was also clear to me that I wouldn't put it past this regime for, again, concocting this plan behind the scenes to make it seem like the Pakistani PM was the reason for this, when in fact, why would the president of the United States not listen to the people of his country who want this war to end, who do not support this war by any stretch of the imagination beyond the MAGA cult? Why would he not listen to the country he's supposed to be presiding over and kind of working for? But he's going to listen to all of a sudden the Pakistani PM, all of the world leaders that have been calling for this to end, everybody that's been talking about the disastrous nature of this war, and all of a sudden the Pakistani PM comes out with a fucking tweet and Donald Trump's going to jump over the hurdles. Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not fucking buying it. It's another way for Donald Trump to try to get himself out of the responsibility to get himself out of, people calling him taco and calling him a pussy and calling him a coward. And again, as good as it is to see that he didn't go through with the plans, again, don't want to get that in any way twisted. It's not like we were hoping for Donald Trump to enact these fucking plans. But again, to suggest that he's going to go through with this, to even put this out on Truth Social, and then to have to fucking walk that back is, again, should be very embarrassing for not only Donald Trump, but for the fucking people in his base that supported the original statements, but now all of a sudden support this 2-week fucking ceasefire that isn't really a ceasefire, but Donald Trump walked. But like, the whole thing is just, it's exhausting. It is. Just like the title of the show suggests, this is exhausting. To try to have to cover this, to try to have to sift through the bullshit, to try to have to sift through the propaganda, to try to have to sift through the footage and the videos of what's actually taking place online, on the ground, so you can know So you're not being lied to. So you can see firsthand, right, what's taking place, the strikes in Israel, the strikes in Lebanon, the strikes in Iran, right, the strikes on the bridges, the human change. Like, these are the things that we have to go through and sift through, because otherwise you're going to be lied to. People are going to try to concoct these these agendas and these stories around it. But it's exhausting. It really is exhausting. So I feel for you guys in the chat. I really do. It you guys having to go to all of these different accounts and news sites and channels and podcasts, trying to sift through the nonsense and listening to friends and like the whole 9 yards. I understand that it's a lot. We're all kind of feeling it here. The impacts, the mental fucking impacts of trying to go through this rigmarole and being on the edge of your seat, and whether or not nuclear war is about to take place, or again the annihilation of civilization, or again even an entire country of 90 plus million people is going to be set back to the Stone Ages. Like, that's, people have worries, they have fears, they have anxieties, right? They have friends and family and people they love serving in the military. So again, it has huge ramifications on people, and it takes a toll. It really does take a toll. So again, I want to recognize that. I want to show you guys all the respect in the world and give you guys all the praise for fighting through it and for sticking with it and putting up and dealing with all of this, even though it does take a toll on you guys. So very much appreciated, not only for that, but also your support of the channel. It does take a lot. I know a lot of channels ask you to kick in this way, or support this way, or buy this, or do this, or here's this product or whatever. So I know it's coming at you hot and heavy, and I recognize that not everybody's able to kick into these shows financially, and I want to recognize that the people that do the free stuff, the people that like, share, subscribe, you guys are just as important as everybody else, and I want to recognize that. So thank you guys for everything that you do. I'm going to toss it over to my main man, Jeff Waldorf, over there on this space. Everybody can go check him out, listen to him kick some ass as he typically does in his shows. So very much appreciated to the mods over on this space. Very much appreciated to Matt for once again including me into this coalition. I am very proud of being a part of it, and I have all the respect in the world for Matt for putting this together, trying to build this platform, trying to build up a coalition, even if it's to the detriment, even if it's not hugely beneficial to himself. He's doing it for the right reason. So thank you to everybody over there. Thank you to everybody watching here. And please stick around, everybody on this side, everybody watching here on Blunt Politics, so I can thank everybody that sent in a Venmo or a super chat. But otherwise, thank you guys over in this space, and I'll kick it over to Jeff. Appreciate you guys. All right. So simulcast taken care of. Thank you guys so much over here on the Blunt Politics side of things. Very much appreciated to all of you. Thank you, Deborah. Again, thank you, Ian. Thank you, Yakov. Thank you, JD. Thank you, Mello. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you guys. No, don't stick around. Stick around, Keith. We still got some talking. I got to make sure to thank some people as we do at the end of every show, every live stream, every podcast, whatever you want to call it. We make sure to recognize, to highlight, to spotlight, to thank everybody that came through with a financial contribution, or if they hit a milestone, whatever it may be. We want to make sure to give back. We want to make sure to recognize and appreciate the people that make this show possible. So please, if you could, stick around so we could recognize everybody. But thank you. I appreciate you, Keith, for being here in the first place. So let's get into thanking some people, because you guys make not only this show possible, but all of these shows possible. And I don't think you guys get enough credit from a lot of these other bigger platforms. They are very quick to sell you shit. They're very quick to utilize their numbers to profit off of it for greedy purposes. But they're not quick to, again, thank you guys and to recognize everything that you guys go through, both mentally and physically and financially, to support channels like this. And again, we're trying to do things the right way, independently, without outside resources, without corporate sponsors, just 100% based off of the viewership, the financial contributions of the people that find some value in the show. So again, it's not the best way to go about doing things. It is not the most profitable or the best business plan. I will kind of let everybody know that wants to start a podcast or a live stream, heed that warning. So basically what I want you to do is get all the sponsorships you can right off the bat. But otherwise, no, I do feel like we're doing it the right way. I do feel like, I have nobody, again, telling me what I can and cannot say. It would be nice if some of the bigger lefty platforms, the bigger lefty accounts started recognizing and started kind of utilizing their numbers to help some of the smaller channels and propping them up. Not going to name any names, but I think you guys can do some digging and figure out who I'm talking about as far as a bunch of those accounts are concerned. But anyways, let's get into thanking some people before I shoot myself in the foot here. Thank you so much to Yakov. Appreciate you, brother, for the $4 on Venmo. Where the fuck is my hat and t-shirt? Just kidding. It's coming, brother. It's coming. It's got there. We haven't had a single issue. We haven't had a single problem yet. So again, you live in bumfuck over there. You're on the other side. So take it easy. It takes a while for it to get there. But I appreciate the contributions, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to V Sawyer as well for the $10. 8647 gas. 8647 gas. Oh, gotcha. Yep. Okay. Yep. I follow that one. Took me a second, but I do follow. And then over the last couple days, thank you to Nancy, thank you to Roger, thank you to Cindy so much, thank you to Roxanne so much, thank you to Thomas and Victoria, and again everybody else, Teague, Damon, all of you guys that are fabulously, amazing in contributing to the channel via Venmo. And let's see if we can thank everybody here on the old YouTube side of things. Slow day today, but that's all right. I do appreciate you guys for stepping up. Thank you so much to Victor. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mods, and everybody here. Let's keep going. Very much appreciate that, Victor. Appreciate your viewership, your camaraderie. Thank you so much to Jenny Faye for the $5 as well, listening while I work and make toilet paper pretty. Have a wonderful Wednesday, Brian. Marvelous Mods and cool peeps in the chat. And again, for anybody that's like, what the hell does that mean? She is cleaning homes. So I'm sure she's kind of folding the toilet paper. Now, is it under or is it over, Jenny Faye? What do they prefer? Do they like the over? Or do they like the under? Let me know. I've always been curious on that one. What the better half, what they live like, you know what I mean? But no, thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate it. I appreciate you watching, and thank you so much to JD today as well. So thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you guys for anybody that again is hopping over to bostonbrian.com, checking out the old merch shop that is now wide open. Couldn't be more open. It is the most open it's going to be. So head over there again, bostonbrian.com. Check out the old merch shop. We got hats, we got shirts, we got the whole 9 yards over there. We got everything. So if you want to rep some Blunt Politics merch, if you want to rep some anti-fascist merch, you know where to get it. And also you can go to bostonbrian.com for all of the information regarding the show as well, all of the show times. You can go to my social media links as well through bostonbrian.com. Here's just kind of an example. Some of the stuff that we have on there as far as merch. The Chinga La Migra, I really appreciate. The Stop Pretending Your Racism is Patriotism is something that I really like as well. The Fascist Fighters, I mean, all of it is good in my eyes. So good quality as we've been getting the feedback. The hats, I actually got a hat on as we speak right now, and it is really, really good quality. Very comfortable. So as you can see here, we got these puppies out there. We got it all. So again, we're trying to do everything in-house, nothing with any outside help, any outside resources or anything like that. We're just trying to figure out a way to keep this thing going so that we're not doing a podcast from the streets of Boston. That would be good. That would be very beneficial, and I don't think people would really tune into that one as much as as this one. But yeah, check it out. I appreciate you guys. Again, Patreon perks as well. If you head over to patreon.com/BostonBrian, you get some new perks that we're doing as far as the revamping of Patreon is concerned. Some discounts as far as the merch, some tote bags, some stickers on there. Obviously, we've updated the Zoom calendar. We got many more Zooms that we're doing throughout the month. Again, thank you and shout out to everybody that showed up last Monday. So every Monday now we'll be doing a Zoom for a different category of the Patreon family, the Patreon community. And then obviously if anybody's getting any of the Ukraine affiliated merch, that we will be donating 25% of all of the sale profit to United 24 to help in their fight against the Russian horde. So again, any way we could possibly give back, we're trying to do so. And again, here's just kind of an example of some of the perks and some of the levels over there at Patreon. Clearly some of the stuff there. And also check out the Discord. That's another thing that I have to remember to keep pushing out there is the Discord for you guys, where you guys can continue continue the conversation. You guys can continue talking about, current day events. You guys can continue to talk about the news over in the Discord server. So again, if you follow us over there at patreon.com, some of the access there gets you over to the Discord server, follows and shout outs on Blue Sky and whatever, social media platforms that you might be. You get access to the monthly Zooms and stuff like that. So again, I do appreciate everybody kind of signing up there and helping me out. And then again, follow me on all my socials. All my socials right there on the screen. Check them out wherever you can find me, wherever you guys are. I will be as well. And again, we don't charge for the Substack. The Substack is absolutely free. Which is kind of crazy considering that I just found out that people are charging like $8 a month per person per subscription to Substack. And not only that, but Substack allows you to keep 90% of that. So I was kind of taken aback as when I heard that. So me and my big mouth talking about not charging on Substack. But again, I don't want to exclude anybody from the content. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me that if you don't have a couple bucks, you would have to forego some of the content if it's beneficial, if it's important to you. I just don't really like that. But at some point, again, if it's kind of the choice between living on the streets here in Boston or charging for one of these other platforms, we're going to have to make a decision coming up pretty soon. So again, bear with me. I'll see if I can keep my big fat yap shut so I don't get myself in trouble and dig myself into a hole that I can't get out of. But yeah, check me out. Thank you guys so much for everybody that's contributing. Let's see if anybody, I think I saw a notification there. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Thank you so much. Suzanne just sent 20 on Venmo. Thank you so much, Suzanne. I very much appreciate that. And then let me see here in case I missed anybody over here. Thank you, JD, Jenny Faye, and Victor again. But yeah, the mental health aspects of this, guys. So take care of yourself, right? I know we're all kind of going through it. I know it may seem kind of, almost insignificant, and it kind of is insignificant in comparison to, again, what's taking place with the people in the Middle East and the plight that they're feeling. But again, doesn't take away by any stretch of the imagination the anguish and the anxiety and kind of the I don't even know what you'd call it, the tenseness, right, of the moment and kind of the unpredictability of the future. So again, I recognize it. I'm right there with you guys. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves. This is absolutely exhausting. Again, trying to sift through this and put shows together, even when the show's done, to try to, either watch it again or continue to cover the news so you can be ready for the next one. It's a lot to try to take in. It's a lot to try to do. And again, it does absolutely have an effect on your mental health. So I want to make sure everybody's taking care of themselves. Get out there for a walk, get out there for a round of golf, paint, whatever it is that you guys can kind of escape for a couple minutes or whatever amount of time that you feel necessary and kind of revives you to the moment. So that's kind of my spiel for the day. Just take care of yourselves. We're going to be continuously covering the action. We're going to be continuously covering the news and what takes place. If there's any big moments, if there's any big actions, if there's any big news stories breaking, as it pertains to obviously things inside of the United States and outside of the United States, we'll be sure to hop back on. But we'll see you tonight. Be sure to check us out tonight. We're going to be taking a look at this Kaylin Robertson video, which I'm excited to show you guys. Maybe a little bit of a different show that we're going to have tonight. So that's not it. This is, though. So we're going to be checking this out because, again, this is a really good look at what takes place every single day, multiple times a day inside of Kherson. They have, again, these drone units just roaming the streets, ready to shoot down drones with their rifles. And Kaylin Robertson put himself in harm's way and kind of attached himself to one of those units. And this is the story that comes from that. I think it is brilliantly done. And I wanted to continue to highlight not only the plight of the Ukrainian people, but the fact that, obviously the war in Iran has taken over considerably the headlines and the news stories and stuff like that. So I want to make sure to be continuously recognizing the plight of the Ukrainian people and what they're still going through in their war against Russia. So that's going to be tonight, 8:30 p.m. Make sure you're here for that. That's a 2-hour show. We get a little bit longer, a little bit more time tonight to kind of cover these things. So again, any updates, any further news going on, we'll be sure to take a look at it tonight. and then we'll be diving into this. And and tonight we'll be showing you the video sent to us by the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade to thank you guys here and in the Blunt Politics community for raising over 23,000 euro for the pickup truck that did in fact make its way to their unit, to the front lines. Looks like it's already being used. Looks like it's already got a few dents, which I love, right? Good to see it being used. Good to see it being, kind of utilized and the people inside of it being protected and not having to kind of, walk around the battlefield. So, again, congratulations to you guys. Thank you guys so much for your help. And I'll be sure to be showing that video, the thank you video, congratulating you guys once again for your help, your participation, and the accomplishment, again, of raising a substantial amount of money to make sure that we could buy a pickup truck for the front lines in Ukraine. So, again, I'll see you guys later tonight. Thank you guys so much. My name's Boston Brian. I really do appreciate you. Well, my name is just really Brian, but I'm from Boston, so I hate calling myself that. But, this is Blunt Politics. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 20K, guys. We're trying to get to 20K, 20K subscribers by the time we start kicking midterms, kicking the GOP's ass in midterms. That would be fantastic. So, again, I want to make sure that we carry the most weight behind the punches that we're throwing. And unfortunately, that only happens if you can build up a substantial following, a substantial amount of followers, and a platform big enough that people recognize it. So again, thank you guys for getting me this far. Let's see if we can kind of get those numbers up. Let's see if we can get to 20K, and it's only with your help, the help of the fantastic mods that I have here in the best chat on earth, that we're going to be able to do it. All right, I'm out of here. Stay loud, stay proud, stay aggressive. Thank you to the mods, and I'll see you guys tonight for this show this evening. Again, 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 on the West Coast, and then figure out wherever you live in between where time it is. So I'll see you tonight. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. It's Victor's birthday today. Happy birthday, Victor. Happy birthday, buddy. Shout out to Victor. My apologies. I didn't see that if that was in the chat.
Inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Here's a thought. Grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
To officially name the undisputed, when did this come out? The undisputed champion of beautiful, clean coal.
My superpower is being honest. I will eat my neighbors.
I mean, they've been conserved since the time of lobsters, right? There weren't trees around when lobsters first manifested themselves on the planet.
Wrong.
Where are you going? Nowhere.
Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see? A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face. You tried to kill me, you son of a bitch. So welcome to the revolution.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
Army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Brian, you're drunk. You're drunk.
I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants.
Eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
All right, guys, I'll catch you tonight. I'll see you tonight for the long show. Make sure you bring your friends, your family. Tell everybody about the show, please. Share the show out. Thank you, guys. See you later.